All right, guys, we're buckling up for a huge offseason for this Cleveland Cavalier team. And one of the big reasons it is such a huge offseason are the moves that were made 4 months ago at the trade deadline. And while the results are still to be determined overall, I think, on if that those were the right moves, I think we do also have some data now to go off of to kind of, I guess, reevaluate how we feel about those moves, why or why not they were worthwhile, and also talk about some very, very bitter ex Cavaliers who aren't hiding it, which is kind of funny. And we're going to touch on the NBA Finals. Let's do that all right now on Cavs Daily. I'm your host, Paul Williams. Appreciate you guys being here. If you could at some point, bruh, hit that like, subscribe if you haven't. We need to get to 1K. And comment. Let me know how you feel about everything I discuss and every opinion I have. With that being said, let's kind of just. I don't think we need to really tell you what the trades were that I'm discussing from back in, well, on January 30th, a Saturday at about 11:30. The first trade came in, which was DeAndre Hunter going to Sacramento for Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder. Bit of a shocker seeing that the Cavs didn't have a lot of depth in the forward position and they weren't bringing any back with that trade. Um, DeAndre Hunter as a player, I can see why the Cavs made that move as he just wasn't the player that we hoped and needed him to be in his time here. He was here for exactly 1 year, one trade deadline to the next. And while he had his flashes and while he was the superstar of the offseason, if you believe if you believe Kenny Atkinson, it just never translated. Yeah, he was the MVP of the training camp. He was ready to take a big step with this Cavs team this year, and it never happened. Like I said, he did have his moments early in the year, but as the year went on, November, December, even January, just wasn't clicking for him. In 43 games with the Cavs this season, 23 starts, he played over 26 minutes a game, averaged 14 points to go along with 4 rebounds, 2 assists, zero point 0.7 steals, and zero point 0.1 blocks. Efficiency also way down, shooting just 42% from the field, just 30% from three on nearly 6 attempts a game. That's just not going to get it done, especially when you're not being a difference maker on the defensive end. Paying 20 mil a year for that, just not worth it. And no matter how annoying it is, we're going to have to continue to discuss the money involved in these deals because they definitely played a huge part of our front office pressing the button and making the deal. But yeah, so we out goes Hunter, in comes Keon Ellis, a young guy who has been kind of just buried in whatever you want to call that organization in Sacramento. He has clearly shown flashes of a potentially very good NBA player. He is known for his defense and knockdown 3-point shooting, one of the highest corner three catch and shoot 3-point shooters in the league over the past couple of years. And then Dennis Schroeder, the veteran point guard that I think the Cavs lacked the past couple of years. I think if we had someone like Schroeder, maybe last year looks a little different, but even with Schroeder coming in, I thought it could be to back up Darius Garland. Didn't think that was a tea leaf to Darius being traded. But yeah, then 3 days later, Darius Garland is on his way to LA along with the second round pick for Hall of Famer, 36-year-old James Harden. And wow, I mean, no matter all the hate DG got, no matter how we felt about him at the time, it was a shocker, no doubt about it. There was a lot of mixed feelings. And I think, though, after you were able to step away from the feelings involved, it kind of made sense. And we'll dig into that a bit more later. But it was a very tough move to see be made. Darius Garland been here for his entire career, but also had 6+ years to like prove he can be someone we can rely on in the playoffs, and we can make this core work with him in the backcourt with Donovan Mitchell. had his moments in the regular season, just couldn't put it together in the playoffs. Of course, we know Harden's reputation, but guys, he is a 6'5", 230 veteran point guard. Just that alone makes a world of a difference, and it did if you watch the playoffs. So I wasn't mad at it then. And then after, of course, the Cavs go crazy, the next like 11 games, win 11 straight, and Harden's knocking down huge threes with Donovan throwing up the three before the shot even goes in against that in Sacramento against the Kings in a game where the Cavs were down with about 2 minutes left. I think Jared Allen got the rebound, or Mobley maybe got the rebound, passed it up to Donovan, threw it down to Harden, back to Donovan. Donovan could have taken the three. Instead, he passes it back to Harden. As soon as he throws it to Harden, he throws up the dagger, the three sign, and Harden knocks it down. Cavs go on to win that game. Vibes were high. And while we know what happened in the playoffs, I'll give my opinion in a second, but I think the Cavs did fine on their end. And Garland, meanwhile, only played in 19 games for the Clippers. And he even said verbatim after they were eliminated in the play-in to the Warriors, I'm playing on 9 toes, bro. I'm not even close to fully healthy. Like, there it is. That's probably what we would have been dealing with in the playoffs. So we would have been relying on Schroeder even more. That alone kind of tilts me to feeling okay about the trade. But I have a segment for that. I need to stop talking. And I need to start talking about some other guys that should probably stop talking, which are Darius Garland and Lonzo Ball. Both men super duper in their feelings about the fact that the Cavs traded him. Darius Garland went on Lonzo Ball's podcast and they discussed the Cavs and discussed the playoffs and all that. And it was just really a crazy look to see two ex point guards of the Cavs that were in wine and gold this calendar year, just like 4.5 months ago, to be sitting around talking about the Cavs losing in the Eastern Conference Finals. Lonzo had a lot to say. I mean, some were facts. He talked about the fact that not a lot of teams are able to make huge moves in the right middle of the regular season and go on to win a ship that year. Like, it's really hard to do. And he's not wrong about that. Only 5 teams ever have went to the championship after acquiring an all NBA player that season. Only one did it at the trade deadline. It is tough to do, but you won't hear the Cavs get any slack for the fact that they had to make that happen with the guys only playing 4 total games together in the regular season. But we don't need to talk about that. I digress. But yeah, he touched on that, which is facts. But then he said, if we were still on the team, if the team still was how it was at the beginning of the season, the Cavs would be playing in the finals right now. I don't know if I can jump on board with that. Later on, he talked about the fact that it's just hard to watch them. They don't really have an identity. Darius Garland piggyback said he agreed with Lonzo. And that's another thing. Like, they both talked about how it just looks like the Cavs don't have an identity, blah, blah, blah. But guys, we didn't have an identity when you were on the team. That's the problem. Like, go back and rewatch some of these episodes from November, December. We didn't have a freaking identity, and that's what the issue was. Like, yes, we just talked about this on an episode or two ago. The Cavs do have to re-identify what type of team they are, and they do need to get their identity back after being a defensive team for a couple years, then an offensive juggernaut in Kenny Atkinson's first year. They didn't really have that this year, but that was the case even when Lonzo and Darius were on the team. Darius just talked about the fact that, well, first of all, in different interviews, he said he's getting his joy back, blah, 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 how tough it was with like the pressures in Cleveland and that he was kind of the scapegoat. And talking with Lonzo, he was just piggybacking on everything Lonzo said and making the point known that he also felt like the Cavs would have went further if they were on this the same, or if they were still on the team, and that it was hard to watch the Cavs struggle like they did in the Eastern Conference Finals, blah, blah, blah. This doesn't look like the team they know. Harden just did not look like the player that they saw even in January and February. And it's like, bro, I mean, you can say all that, but the Cavs were in the Eastern Conference Finals, somewhere Lonzo hasn't been to, and but Darius, like, of course we know hasn't been to in his 6+ years here. So it just comes off a little like salty when Darius, you had numerous opportunities, bro. Come on. You admitted you're still injured to this very moment. And Lonzo, come on. And then Lonzo's dad talked about, I'm so happy to see the Cavs losing to the Knicks like this. They're missing that one piece, and that was my son. They need someone to push the pace, get people open, blah, 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 control. And it's like, come on, man. Like, yeah, that theoretically, that's what we needed from Lonzo. That's why I was so excited this offseason to get him. That's why I was co-signing. And it didn't work out. The guy shot 30% from the field, 27% from three. It was just tough to watch at times. He couldn't play in back-to-backs. He did play in 35 games, averaged 4 points. 4 points, guys. Come on, man. What are we doing with that? And yeah, he's not known for scoring and stuff, but his defense wasn't what it once was. He was more of a chase defender now, trying to get steals and stuff, knockaways, instead of just being a man up, like lockdown type of versatile type of defender, which we needed from him. And he just wasn't that guy. So to see the father and Lonzo and Darius and all them get together and say all this now after the Cavs are finally knocked out the playoffs, the furthest they've been in 8 years. Come on, man. Do better, boys. Like, I mess with you both, but that ain't it, man. That wasn't the look, at least in my eyes. What do you guys think? Am I being too harsh? Do you agree with them? Let me know how you feel, because I'm sure you've heard either the interview or all about the comments by now. And with all that said, was it the right moves? Did the Cavs make the right moves? Sending out Darius and DeAndre, bringing in Keon, Dennis, and James. And I mean, the short answer to me is like, yes, it still needs to be determined. But at this moment, I'm still okay with it. Like, what we all need to understand is, first of all, on the court, Harden's reliable, as we saw. He was playing through injuries that he didn't even talk about in the regular season and early into the playoffs. His size and just his ability defensively to not be a huge liability where teams are going to just game plan, taking advantage all game, every game. I mean, you guys can say what you want, but Harden played solid D for most of the playoffs. Yes, he had his moments where he was a cone, but he also balled out defensively and honestly gave the Cavs all you can ask for him from that side of the ball. And just his size alone, him being 6'5", him being 230, him being bulky and physical, like he was getting switched on to bigs, switched on to centers numerous times, and he held his own for the most part. That would have never happened with Darius Garland. I think that alone unlocks something for the Cavs, along with the gravity that he did dictate on the offensive end whenever he had the ball, whether he was scoring or not. I just think he impacted the game in so many ways that might not even show up in this box score, that I don't know if we would have gotten that from Darius Garland. Dang sure not Darius Garland on 9 toes. So just for that alone, and then another part that is just as big, if not bigger, the financial flexibility we now have, guys. Like, getting out of Garland's 40+ million commitment for 3 years still, and now having the flexibility to have James Harden opt out of his player option, re-sign a more team-friendly deal with the Cavs, get us under the second apron. That never happens if we don't make those moves at the deadline. That's trading Lonzo and a second rounder just for the Utah Jazz so they could cut him and then him not get picked up by anyone else. But it's okay. Getting off of DeAndre's 22-23 million a year contract and getting off of Darius's ridiculous $43 million a year contract. Like, that alone saved us 70 plus $80 million. And that changes so much going forward. Like, yes, we're more all in on the now than the future, but being financially flexible helps shape the now and future so much more, and not being tied down to that money and still having the core that we have to build around, I think it's a pretty good spot to be in. And that has to be recognized when evaluating these trades because that's just a huge part of it, regardless of how we feel. It is, I promise, it really is. And on the court, I don't think we lost much, if any at all. Let's not forget Schroeder. He flat out won us game 5 against the Raptors, was huge in another game against the Pistons. Like, he was that veteran presence we needed off the bench. He wasn't perfect by any means, but he was definitely a plus. And then in the regular season, when Keon Ellis played over Dennis Schroeder and played more minutes than Dennis Schroeder, he was great for the Cavs as well. Right away in his first couple of games, he saw the type of player that he is, getting in passing lanes, causing turnovers, playing aggressive, bringing a different attitude and swag to this locker room. And that's the final key piece to this. Like, what Schroeder, Ellis, and Harden brought to this locker room compared to what DG, Lonzo, and DeAndre Hunter were bringing, think about that. Like, just think about their personalities, the way they play the game. Like, come on, man. It was such a huge upgrade for what this team needed that I don't think it even needs to be discussed. I'm good with where we're at because of those trades. So for that reason, I have to say, yes, I think the Cavs did the right thing, and Lonzo and DG are just salty and hurt and talking crazy, which I kind of get. It is what it is. And to wrap it up today, guys, we need to touch on the finals a little bit. And for full transparency, I actually recorded this video the on Sunday, well, the original one. The audio was terrible, so I had to re-record today, Monday. And by the time this drops in the morning on Tuesday, something will already have happened with this NBA Finals. So I'm kind of salty because it's going to look kind of crazy with this final segment. Thinking I'm either capping if my prediction is what it is, or I'm on something predicting the losing team or the losing outcome after knowing what happens. Right now, the game still hasn't started, but again, by the time this airs, it will be over. But are the Knicks done? Or I'm sorry, are the Spurs done? Are the Knicks the 2026 NBA champs after winning 2 straight in San Antonio? I can't say that they are, man. Like, this Spurs team are showing that they're young and they're not all the way ready yet. And I think that just says more about the fact that the NBA doesn't have a real, true dominant team right now. And because of that, a team like the Knicks, who are a very good team that got hot at the right time, they're able to take advantage of it enough. But can they finish the deal? That's still yet to be determined. To me, the series will be decided tonight in well, for you guys, last night in game 3. If the Spurs win game 3, they're still winning this season or this series. I'm staying with my prediction of Spurs in 6, though it could easily go to 7. And obviously, if the Knicks win game 3, the series is over. The Knicks are the NBA champions. And it is what it is. Kudos to them. I just don't think the Knicks are that team still. Like, I don't know. I just don't believe in them like that. And I think that they will give Spurs life. And, like, the Spurs have led in every game by double digits so far, but they sell in the fourth quarter. Now, after losing 2 at home, I think they come back with a different mindset. And I think they will pull out game 3, make this a series, and make my original predictions not look too crazy. But again, if the Knicks win tonight, I'm sorry, guys, I sound crazy, but give me the Spurs tonight and give me the Spurs to still win this series. Hey, it is what it is. If not, I'm wrong. I don't really care because it ain't going to be the Cavs, so it's not really hurting me that bad. But tune in for some more updates tomorrow, some more Cavs news. We'll have more rumors and trade. I won't even say, we'll just say we'll have some new trade discussions to talk about with a couple of guys that I think realistically could be Cavs next year without us having to do too much. check back in tomorrow for that. Appreciate you guys staying tuned and staying the whole way. I'll see you tomorrow.